So, yun. And brief history of solar energy. So it uses the use of solar energy stretches back thousands of years, reflecting ingenuity in harnessing the sun's power. So, like Greeks, Romans, and Chinese, they are utilizing the design and architecture, or sorry, they are utilizing the solar energy in their designs and architecture, sorry, to capture and utilize it effectively. Ibig sabihin, it was mentioned here that they constructed buildings with large south-facing windows to maximize natural heating and lighting. If, uh, kaya ngayon, uh, people are really into knowing the correct orientation of our windows, of our walls, kasi that really affects the heat and the lighting na nakukuha natin. Kapag kayo ay nag-refrigeration, kapag kayo ay nag-air conditioning and ventilation systems, you will also consider these parameters, the thermal coefficients, yan, marami na about sa sun, as well as, syempre, uh, nagamit din kayo kung anong windows na i-install nyo sa bahay kasi that really affects the heat na nakukuha natin from the sun. So it really is necessary. And yung scientific exploration, scientific exploration began in earnest during the 19th century. And in 1839, Alexander Edmund Becquerel discovered the PV effect, which means that yung light natin generates an electric current in certain materials. And dito din, unang na-discover uh, that yun nga, yung sabi, yung light talaga, it can be a source of electricity. And in 20th century, ang research in 1954, researchers at Bell Labs developed the first practical silicon solar cell. And this silicon solar cell, this has been still used by most of the solar energy manufacturing companies as uh, main material for their PV cells. Silicon po. Malimit silicon yung gamit kasi this has the properties that can trap that light para makabuo or makakuha ng electric uh, current or makapag-produce ng electric current. And over the decades, solar energy has transitioned from niche applications such as powering satellites in the 1960s to becoming a cornerstone of global energy strategies. Today, it is at the forefront of efforts to transition to clean and renewable energy, driven by technological innovations, decreasing costs, and growing awareness of the need to combat climate change. And ngayon nga, I forgot the name of that. Okay, natanda ko. It's the Dyson Awards. If I'm not mistaken, it's the Dyson Awards. And one of the winners of that award is from the Philippines. I think that's around 2017 to 2020. And his invention was about uh, the wastes of fruits. And yung waste na yon ay ginawa ng panel, or that's yung plastic, or sorry, the glass ng ating solar panel, ginawa na yon kasi uh, based on his study based on his study, yung certain plants or certain fruits na yon have the capability to produce or to trap light. And yung light na yon, kapag tinamaan ng sunlight yung glass na yon, it will emit uh, a huge amount of light, and yung light na yun is matatrap doon sa solar panel. And that one, and to be honest, that has been our inspiration in pursuing my project study one nung third year kami. But it's just that we researched more, and we utilized uh, mga rotten tomatoes. Yun yung aming naging raw material. And tinry namin i-integrate yung research niya sa research namin if if kaya ng Rotten Tomatoes, sorry, na produce ng high efficient na solar cell, but it's just that due to constraints like the financial constraints, kasi mahirap maghanap ng kamatis, we did not pursue it and sobrang matrabaho niya. The reason why then, uh, many companies are being into researching about how to improve the efficiency of our solar cells. So yun lang. That's one of the reasons why nasingko ako sa PS1, kasi we did a lot of or we a lot of time in researching about this, about solar energy. Kasi, yun yung, requirement sa'min dati, na kailangan yung project study one namin will include, solar energy and hydrogen production. So yun, sobrang hirap noon, kaya lahat kami, halos buong batch namin is na 5, 7 lang ang nakapasa sa PS1. So yun, yun kaya we really studied about solar energy nung time namin. But then again, siguro sa thesis nyo, you can still research about this, but I advise you not to pursue anything related to solar. If you are gonna be doing machines, it's really complicated. Mauubos yung oras nyo. So I advise you not to do anything related to solar energy and hydrogen production, kasi yun nga, matagal, and pangalawa, sobrang mahal ng magagastos nyo. So, yun. But if you are really interested in doing such, then you can do it. But it's just that, again, yun, sobrang kailangan nyo na maraming time. Next, let's talk about sun radiation as the main energy source. So solar radiation is the primary source of energy on Earth, originating from nuclear fusion reactions in the sun's core. And during fusion, immense pressure and temperature cause hydrogen atoms to combine and form helium, releasing tremendous amounts of energy in the process. This energy radiates outward in the form of electromagnetic waves, including visible light, UV rays, and infrared heat. So, syempre, yung sun nga natin, sobrang laki ng energy na produce niya, and that is because of the nuclear fusion that is happening in its core. And when solar radiation reaches Earth, it sustains life and drives essential natural processes such as photosynthesis, weather patterns, and water cycles. And please take note of this, that 173,000 terawatts of solar energy hit the Earth's surface continuously. So kaya nasabi natin kanina na it exceeds the global energy needs. While a significant portion of this energy is reflected back into space or absorbed by the atmosphere, the remaining radiation provides a virtually limitless and renewable energy source. Imagine this amount of energy, 173,000 terawatts. So, gaano kalaki yan? Imagine nyo, nagtatayo tayo ng mga thermal power plants na 250 megawatts, katiting pa lang yun. Pero ang laki na ng nasusupply nun, ng 250 megawatts na mga thermal power plant. Imagine if we can harness everything, or if we can harness, every amount of this, and use this as our energy source, electrical energy source, talagang solve na tayo. But then again, kasi ang systems natin ay most likely ranging between 15 to 20% lang yung efficiency, and karamihan nga din nito is reflected back into space or absorbed by our atmosphere. So, konti lang talaga yung nagagamit natin. And syempre nga, this is distributed kung saan tumatama yung araw. So, since this is distributed, kailangan yung design natin is, well, kailangan nagfa-follow nga siya doon sa where the distribution is at most. So, ganun, kailangan natin siya i-consider. And mahirap yon kasi uh, wala pa tayong technology and wala pa tayong amount of research to do that. So, yun, the ability to harness the solar radiation effectively through technologies like PV systems and solar thermal systems has revolutionized energy production by capturing and converting sunlight. These systems provide clean, sustainable power for a range of applications from residential use to large-scale industrial operations, reducing reliance on fossil fuels. So, next natin i-discuss is the solar radiation spectrum. It encompasses a broad range of electromagnetic waves. So ito yung radiation na tumatama sa surface ng Earth, and one of which is the UV radiation. We are all familiar with this, and this is 8% of the sun's total energy. This is it has high energy potential due to its short wavelengths kasi yon, and this is absorbed by Earth's atmosphere, particularly by the ozone layer. This influences various natural processes and contributes to solar disinfection technologies. Kasi 'di ba, uh, itong mga UV natin, uh, excuse me, kung malalaman nyo na, uh, wait, yun, nawala yung bahing ko, sorry. Yun, itong ultraviolet, UV rays, 'di ba, ginagamit natin 'to malimit sa ah, disinfecting, and a lot of in disinfecting technologies, like for example, yung mga helmet natin, 'di ba, usong-uso ngayon sa mga motor, uso ngayon yung mga vento machine na nililinis yung helmet using UV rays, sorry, as well as kapag linis tayo ng ngipin, they are using a UV light as well para mabilis kumapit yung semento sa ngipin. So, those are some kinds of application of UV radiation. Then visible light. This represents roughly 43% of the solar energy reaching Earth, and is the portion of the spectrum most apparent to the human eye. This is this visible light is also the most effective for a photovoltaic system. Solar cells are designed to capture and convert light in this range into electricity efficiently. And another source is the infrared radiation. This is approximately 49% of the solar energy spectrum. Longer wavelengths, so ibig sabihin mas mababa yung energy compared to UV and visible light. And this solar radiation spectrums highlights the sun's versatility as an energy source, with each segment contributing uniquely to the technologies that harness its power. By optimizing the use of UV, visible, and IR radiation, solar energy systems continue to improve their efficiency and adaptability. So, yon. And next topic is about solar irradiance. Solar irradiance, this refers to the amount of solar radiant energy per unit area per unit time. So, solar irradiance, uh, this is expressed in kilowatt per square meter. Kasi nga, this is the energy per unit area. So, and ang solar constant is approximately, tandaan, this is 1.36 1.36 kilowatt per square meter, and this varies slightly due to the elliptical nature of Earth's orbit and the changing sun to Earth distance throughout the year. So, this is kilowatt per square meter, and we are talking about irradiance. Irradiance. This is just basically the same as to how we measure power density. Kasi ano ba yung power density? That's the energy over 4 pi r squared. This is what we call power density. Uh, you will be uh, excuse me, seeing this formula a lot during your review kasi power density, uh, this involves yun nga, irradiance, yung radiation natin. And ano ba ang sinusukat natin using power density? uh, Intensity ng sound. That's also the same, the sound intensity. Ano ba yung intensity of sound? That is decibels. 'Di ba? Sa decibels, ito din yung ginagamit nating formula. This is the generic formula, but we can derive a lot of this, or we can derive a lot of formulas based on the application from this formula, energy over 4 pi r squared. And for solar irradiance, this can be used in calculating the solar irradiance, the energy over 4 pi r squared. And this r squared is basically uh, an assumption. This is an assumption of the size of the radius of the Earth. So, yun, we just need to assume that the Earth is spherical para paggagamitin natin yung solar irradiance na formula. So, yun, since uh, ang sun, or sorry, ang Earth is not really a sphere but an oblate spheroid. So when viewed from Earth, the sun appears as a small disk subtending at an angle of 0.0093 radians. That is about 32 arc minutes. So as a result, the solar radiation reaching the Earth's surface is nearly parallel. Kasi maliit nga lang siya, or I mean, maliit lang na radian measurement siya. Despite a gradual decrease in brightness from the center to the edge of solar disk, the sun is often treated as a uniformly bright for engineering calculations. Yun. And solar irradiance is not evenly distributed across wavelengths. The radiant energy falling on a unit surface per unit time in the specific spectral range is termed as a spectral irradiance, expressed in watts per square meter per nanometer of bandwidth. And the total energy striking Earth's atmosphere is 1.75 times 10 to the fifth terawatts, and 60% only uh, transmits through cloud cover. So 1.05 times 10 to the 5 terawatts only reaches the Earth's surface. And to let you know as well, kapag sinabi nating solar irradiance, 'di ba? Ito yung uh, against wait lang. Yan. Sige ulit. Ito 'di ba, we talk about solar constant, 'di ba? Solar constant is wait lang. Ito, solar constant is 1.36 kilowatt per square meter. Itong 1.36 kilowatt per square meter, this is what we call solar constant. But if walang given, for example, meron tayo nagka-calculate tayo ng designing ng solar energy systems. Pag hindi sinabi yung solar irradiance, yung value ng solar irradiance, we always have to assume that it is at 1,000 watt per square meter, or 1 kilowatt per square meter. Ito yung gagamitin natin sa calculation because we always have to assume that this is at standard test conditions. Standard test conditions, or STC. Ibig sabihin, ito yung condition na ginagamit natin if we are gonna be designing systems. Kasi pag hindi siya in-indicate, automatic 1,000 watt per square meter. Kasi yun nga, this is the solar irradiance na na-measure based on researches under standard test conditions. So, we will be knowing what is the value of standard test conditions. Hold on. So, yun. This is at 25 degrees Celsius yung standard test conditions natin. And, yun, continue tayo. Yan. If only 1% of this surface energy were harnessed using solar panels with 10% efficiency, the available energy would be approximately 10 to the 5 terawatts, far exceeding the projected global energy demand of 25 to 30 terawatts by 2050. Current solar technologies boast commercial solar panel efficiencies of over 20%, with laboratory multi-junction solar cells achieving about 40% under concentrated sunlight. Solar thermal systems, on the other hand, can achieve even higher efficiencies from 40 to 60%. Okay. So, ito nga, like yung sinasabi ko, ah, yung mga solar panels natin, they are ranging to 10% to 20% na efficiency lang. And again, sinasabi dito, the available energy would be approximately 10 to the 50 terawatts. Pero hindi naman natin siya naka-harness ah, totally ng ganyang kalaki yung ating solar panels. Kasi nga, that is an assumption na tatamaan yung buong part na nasisinaga ng araw, 10 to the 5 terawatts. But then again, syempre hindi naman pwedeng buong part na yun ay punong-puno ng solar panel kasi 'di ba, syempre there are housing parts, nandun yung mga bahay natin, and may mga terrains tayo diyan, may mga puno-puno, may mga bundok, may dagat, and we cannot really install solar panels dun. Siyempre at a certain location lang. The reason why lumiliit yung value niya. And yun yung importance ng solar irradiance kasi we are gonna be considering the area lang. The area on where the PV cells or the solar panels will be installed. So, yun. Siyempre, liliit lang yan. So, kung gaano lang kaliit, imagine kung gaano kalaki yung Earth, tapos a certain yung gatuldok lang yun nasa Pilipinas, sobrang liit lang. Tapos doon ka lang magtatayo ng solar panel, 'di ba? The reason why sobrang liit, that is only sometimes one solar panel is just a 40 watts. So imagine ilang ilang ganong wattage ang kailangan mong i-install para makakuha ka ng malaki. So kaya kailangan mag-designate ng isang malaking place for installing or for the installation of solar energy systems. So, 'yan dito madi-discuss lang dito yung kung gaano kalalaki yung solar energy plants na meron tayo. We have this 5 megawatts energy sa California. Pero gano'n kalaki, gano'n kalaki yung energy na nakukuha do'n kasi ah, gano'n gano'n kalaki din yung allocation kasi nung lupa doon sa doon sa California. Yung tinayo yan, gano'n kalaki yung how do you call this? Gano'n kalaki yung land allocation sa paglalagay ng ating system doon. And also meron din sa Nevada na 400 megawatts Crescent Dunes solar energy. So, saglit lang. Let's see those things. Saglit lang. Let's try to look for a picture nitong Crescent Dunes. Iyon, saglit lang. Ito. Gantong itsura niya. Sige, search natin dito. Crescent Dunes Solar Energy Project. Yan, ito yung ganyan kalaki yung planta ng Crescent Dune Solar Project. And Yun, ang nire-research ngayon is how the solar energy can be integrated to existing power plants para mas malaki yung ma-produce nating energy. Siyempre lahat naman ng yan nakakonect, I mean, kung kino-connect natin siya sa grid, so mapagkakakitaan natin yan and lalaki yung supply natin. So, yun yung for development ngayon. Integration of those two para at least hindi lang tayo dependent on the usage of fossil fuel power plants or using fossil fuels in power plants. And another term or another example, or sorry, not an example, but another principle is solar insolation. Ang solar insolation naman po, this is measured due, yung amount ng ating solar irradiance are being measured per unit time, or I mean during a specific period of time. Like mentioned here, measures the amount of solar radiation received over a specific area during a given period. So kaya ang unit niya is expressed in kilowatt per square meter per day. Again, pag sinabi natin solar irradiance, that is at kilowatt per square meter. So this is the power. Then if you are talking about density of a certain area, that is square meter. So ang solar, this is solar irradiance. This one is solar insolation. Naman is the solar irradiance measured during a specific period of time, like per day, ganyan. And paano natin nasusukat or ano yung mga factors kung bakit lumiliit yung solar insolation natin? Una, syempre yung latitude, yung position niya. Since areas closer to the equator receive more consistent and intense solar radiation year-round due to their perpendicular orientation to incoming sunlight. So, syempre, di ba, for example, ito yung araw, yan, tapos nakatilt yung Earth. So, pag tumama yan dito, pag that's uh, mas malaki yung area na nako-cover ng ah, doon sa part na yun, yung malapit sa equator. Kasi tilted nga yung Earth natin, 'di ba? So malaki yung part doon sa may konting upper at konting lower ng equator, mas malaki yung nakukuha nilang solar insolation. Mas malaki yung na area, ah, covered na area ng natatamaan ng araw. As well as, syempre, time of the year. Seasonal variations caused by the tilt of Earth's axis result in fluctuating solar radiation. Insolation is higher during summer months when the sun is higher in the sky. So, yan, we will be discussing more of this, itong latitude, time of the year, kung paano sila nakaka-apekto sa design ng solar systems on our lesson 2. Then, syempre, so may hindrance tayo. Meron tayong hindrances na nakukuha sa solar energy. So, hindi agad siya direct na nako-convert. As well as solar angle and panel tilt, kailangan natin itong i-consider. Kasi again, syempre yung araw, di ba, nagta-travel yan, so, sisikat, tas lulubog dito. So, ibig sabihin, kung nandito yung part ng araw, tas kung tumatama siya dito, dapat yung solar panel natin nakaharap dyan. Then, kapag nandito yung araw, dapat, tas tatama yung dapat yung sunlight niya tatama papunta dito, dapat yung solar panel natin nakatilt na papaganyan, gumagalaw yan, nakadesign yan ng ganon. So, ganon dapat yun, nakaka-apekto yun sa solar insolation natin kapag mineasure natin. And as well as, yung ating mga talagang high solar insolation regions, ito yung mga regions which are solar energy uh, candidates for solar energy projects due to their strong and consistent solar radiation. Isa dyan, yung Sahara Desert. Tapos yung southwestern US like Arizona and Nevada. Kaya dyan nagtatayo ng mga solar energy systems. And Australia. Then, thermal conversion naman. If we talk about thermal conversion, thermal gaya na sabi dito, basically thermal, ibig sabihin we are utilizing the sun's heat to produce uh, energy or to produce usable energy. So when sunlight hits the surface, it heats up and the absorbed energy is transferred to a working fluid which can be water or another heat transfer medium. Yan yung sinasabi natin, yan yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na uh, the process is just the same as with the thermal power plants. It's just that hindi tayo gumagamit ng boiler, but we are using concentrate mirrors. Sorry, we are using mirrors or anything that can concentrate uh, the solar heat into a specific point. Yun, and we are discussing that on lesson 3, most on lesson 3. Then these systems typically consist of a surface facing the sun, where the dark material captures sunlight and converts it into heat. Then yung heat na yon is then transferred to the working fluid, most likely inside a tube uh, that is in contact with the surface. And yon, syempre, these systems face challenges then since as the temperature of the working fluid rises, heat losses through radiation and convection become more significant. This issue is especially apparent, when high temperatures are reached, and to counteract these losses, various methods are used, such as the use of selective surfaces, which are coatings applied to the absorber to increase its efficiency. We are going to be discussing more of this on lesson 3. And also the flat plate collector, we are going to be discussing this, and this can operate up to maximum of 365 uh, Kelvin. This flat plate collectors, i-discuss natin yung mga parts niya more on lesson 3, lesson 2, lesson 3 ata, lesson 3, or start sa pahuling part ng lesson 2. And the other conversion ng solar energy natin is the photovoltaic. So again, from the word itself, photo, we are now utilizing the sun's radiation or the sunlight to convert into usable energy using solar cells. And uh, the working principle behind PV conversion relies on semiconductor materials that have a property called band gap. So when sunlight strikes these materials, electrons are excited and knocked loose. And a PN junction within the semiconductor directs the flow of these free electrons, creating electrical current. And the theoretical, ito tandaan, maximum efficiency of a single solar cell, known as the Shockley-Queisser limit. Shockley-Queisser limit is around 33%. This is theoretical, but in real-world applications, it's up until 25% using silicon-based photovoltaic cells. And to push the boundaries of efficiency, multi-junction solar cells have been developed. These cells can capture a broader spectrum of sunlight by stacking different semiconductor materials that each absorb a specific wavelength. This approach has allowed lab-based efficiencies to reach as high as 44% with ongoing research aiming for efficiencies around 50%. And yun nga, gaya ng sabi ko sa inyo kanina, if we are gonna be designing uh, if we are gonna be designing solar energy systems or solar cells, uh, we always have to assume uh, that the efficiency of it is at the safest is 15 to 20%. So kung magdi-design ka at hindi ka makapamili, just use the mean, so that's 18%. If you are calculating, if you are gonna be using calculate or if you are gonna be calculating energy from solar cells, we always have to use 18%. This is just to be safe. But then again, it depends on your assumption, but it typically ranges from 15 to 20%. Yan. In terms of commercial systems nga, it offers efficiency levels between 10 to 20%, but still research continues to enhance their performance. And Another interesting concept in photovoltaic conversion explores using the electromagnetic wave nature of sunlight, and this involves using nanoscale and microscale antennas, and this is coupled with rectifiers. So these are called rectena, and much higher ang efficiency na 80 to 90%, but uh, still this is still under development ang rectena natin kasi uh, marami pa siyang need i-develop. Ah, kasi una kailangan ma-prove na sobrang consistent niya kasi itong ranges na tinutukoy ng isang rectena is ah, nung nire-record siya is at a high or at peak of solar energy, mataas yung solar uh, insolation niya nung nire-record 'to. So, this just needs more research para magamit natin or mapatunayan na viable in the future ang Rectena, and this could suffice the need natin ng energy, or this could suffice the demand of energy throughout the world. And yon, those are some of brief concepts about solar energy. And now we proceed with the major types of solar energy. And una nga, photovoltaic energy. It utilizes solar cells to directly convert sunlight into electricity via the photoelectric effect. So, saglit lang. Ah, yan. And, saglit lang. Ayan. Balik tayo dito. PV, yun nga, PV energy. Ito yung mga solar panels natin, solar cells that directly convert sunlight into electricity. So when sunlight strikes the specialized materials into solar cells, electrons are excited and released, generating electrical current. And gaya nga ng sabi ko, ah, yung efficiency natin is depende kung gaano kalaki yung solar panel. Kasi, 'di ba? Gaya ng sabi ko, kung saan tumatama yung araw, doon malaki yung ma-harvest natin kasi for example, tumama nga siya sa may part ng equator. So, malaki yung nakukuha nating energy doon. So, kailangan din natin ng maraming solar panel para ma-harvest lahat sila. Kasi ah, lahat ng parts do'n or yung mga parts do'n natatamaan siya ng araw. So there is this a solar or there is this sunlight. So mayu-utilize natin siya kung maraming solar panel tayong i-install. Kasi yung solar panel na yun, ibig sabihin doon tatama yung araw, and lahat ng tatama ng araw na solar panel, it can convert solar energy. So yun, marami nang gumagamit ng solar panels due to their accessibility and flexibility. Kasi pwede natin siyang install sa rooftops and other large solar farms. But, ah, yun, sa Pilipinas marami na rin gumagamit natin solar panels, 'di ba? Like sa mga poste ng ilaw sa gabi para na, i- na sorry, sa mga poste ng ilaw sa gabi para yun yung nagpapailaw ng street lights natin kasi sa umaga malaki yung or mataas yung energy natin. So, nasa-store sa mga batteries yung energy na nako-collect, then magagamit siya sa gabi for uh, solar street lights. But however, yung PV systems natin have environmental concerns kasi gumagamit tayo ng chemicals like cadmium or lead, and this can contribute to waste if not properly managed. Kasi if you also heard the news sa Manila, mataas yung lead na doon, and that really affects the health ng mga tao sa Manila. So, kaya this could be better the utilization of PV systems if we can minimize the usage of lead and cadmium. Then next, concentrated solar power. Ito naman, this is using uh, mirrors called heliostats which direct sunlight to receiver at the top of a power tower. Ito ay uh, how do you call this? Itong CSP ay ang kinukuha naman dito is yung heat ng araw. Kasi yung system natin is, 'di ba, may ano 'yan, may mga salamin, salamin 'yan. Yang mga salamin na heliostats na 'yan, for example 'yan, may tube dito sa gitna. Minsan ang design niyan is parabolic, papaganyan. So, ibig sabihin nandito yung mga salamin, naka-install diyan, parabolic. Tas yun, ah, wait lang, masyadong magulo. Yung design niya, for example, parabolic. Parabolic, gawin natin siyang 3D. Parabolic siya, papaganyan, 'di ba? Papaganyan yung design, papaganyan, 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 parabolic. So, nandito yung mga solar panel natin, naka-install dyan, naka-install. Tapos may tube dito sa gitna. May tube yan, may tube. Nandyan yung fluid natin na iniinit. May fluid dyan. So, tatama yung araw dito. Then, since ay parabolic, magre-reflect dito pabalik yung heat or tatama dyan yung heat, may heat up. Kaya tinawag siyang kaya ganyan yung design niya is considered na receiver natin itong tube kasi nandun siya sa gitna, doon pumupunta lahat ng heat. Kaya siya tinawag ding concentrated kasi yun yung point where the heat is being concentrated dun sa tube or what we call the receiver. Then iinit yun nasa loob, then connect siya sa turbine, then iikot yung blades, then yun na, mag-generate na siya ng electricity. We'll be discussing again more of this on lesson 3. And yun nga, the receiver contains the heat transfer fluid that is heated by the concentrated sunlight producing steam. And yung steam, yung magdadrive ng turbine para makaproduce ng electricity. And advantage niya is it captures solar energy and offering energy storage. Kasi ito, malalaki kasing mga planta tong mga CSPs natin. Ito ay malaki yung nage-generate din. And since malaki yung nage-generate niya, para hindi masayang yung energy, they are storing it in a very large batteries, malalaking batteries, para magamit. And yung iba namang gumagamit ng CSP, they are connecting this into the uh, main grid ng yung main grid natin. Those are the electrical grids para ayun, masusupply yung energy na na-capture natin sa iba't ibang lugar. Nakakonekta siya sa grid. So, yung grid na yun nga nagsusupply nagsusupply sa mga area, and since malaki na produce niya, makakatulong 'to sa iba't ibang sources ng electrical energy pa rin. Like for example, kasi ang mga kalimitan ang nasa energy grid natin or sa electric grid natin, nakakonekta 'yan malimit sa mga thermal power plants natin, sa mga coal-fired power plants. So, kapag yung ating CSP ay kinonect din natin sa grid, ah, kapag for example nag-downtime yung mga thermal power plants, yung nakukuha nating energy from CSPs ang mag-provide naman ng energy doon sa mga affected na areas. And as well as isa to sa kapag kinonect natin siya sa grid ng kuryente, magge-generate tayo ng profit kasi binabayaran siya ng ating binabayaran ng government yung mga energy supplies na kinokonekta sa grid. So, yun yung mga per kilowatt na binabayad natin. So, yun. Pag nakakonekta siya sa grid, automatic binabayaran yan. So, yun. And most of the times, these CSPs are connected sa grid. And however, excuse me. However, these are still limitations. They require, yun nga, large land areas para maka-generate ng electricity kasi ah, malalaki kasi kailangan talaga malalawak na lugar yung pag-installan mo ng CSPs para hindi ka malugi. And this still have environmental impacts, oh, sorry, kasi syempre may mga madi-displace na mga tao na masisirang habitats. So, yon. So, kaya kailangan this limitations is very common sa mga power plants natin, sa mga malalaking power plants. Next is a solar thermal energy. So basically, this is a generic term lang. Solar thermal energy is, yeah, no? Sabi dito, this is used in technologies like concentrated solar power and solar water heaters. Kasi, yun nga, we are utilizing the sun's heat, solar thermal energy. So, yun. And anong pinagkaiba niya dito? So, pareho lang siya. Ang CSP is just an application of solar thermal energy, but there are other types of solar thermal energy that doesn't uh, use or that is not CSP. Like, for example, yung mga small scale lang wherein they just, yun, gumagamit lang ng mga flat plate collectors. Uh, kung para ma-visualize nyo yung flat plate collectors, ganito yung itsura niya. Flat plate collectors. Ito ay flat lang yan, ganyan lang. Flat siyang collector and nasa loob ito. Yan, nasa loob yung ah ito yung syempre yung mirror sa ibabaw din. Nasa loob yung ibang parts, nandun yung fluid na iniinit. So, yan. Nandito ata yun. Lesson. Saglit lang, hanapin natin. Lesson. Yan, ganyan yung part niya. So, yung absorber plate, tas may glazing yan. And yun, nasa loob yung absorbers natin. So, pag natamaan yon ng light yung ating glazing, ah ma-absorb yung heat. Then doon magpa-process. But then again, itong gantong design, i-discuss natin more of this. But there are certain designs na walang glazing din. Like, uh, open yung top, walang glazing. And magkaiba yung calculation kapag ganun. But we are not gonna be dealing more of those. We are not, okay? We are not gonna be dealing more of those calculations regarding this. We are just gonna be dealing with, uh, how do you say this? We're just gonna be dealing with the simple, the basic calculations with uh, solar panel, sorry, solar collectors. So, yun. So, yan, pinakita ko lang yung itsura ng flat plate collector. So, ganon. So, balik tayo dito. Then next is active solar energy. Dito naman, since we are dealing with active, we are using mechanical and electrical components to collect, store, and distribute solar energy efficiencies. So, uh, itong active solar energy, so sabi dito example pa din, ay yung ating solar panels kasi nilalagay natin sa mga roof. But then again, since we are talking about active, ibig sabihin hindi lang solar panel yung naka-integrate sa system natin. We are, for example, we are still using yan, inverters. What else? We are using, may mga pumps tayo kasi if we're talking about active solar energy, kunwari, yung solar panel natin sa bubong, may solar panel sa bubong, tapos yung energy ay connected, how do you say this? Yung energy na maha-harness doon ay magdaran ng pump. Tapos yung pump, gagamitin naman siya uh, to, to pump water. Like for example, to pump water para sa CR natin. And yung water na yon ay since naka-connected yung pump natin dito sa solar panel natin, yung pump na yun ay uh, it is running with hot water, and then yun nga nakakonekta siya sa heater natin sa banyo. So this is a type of active solar energy system kasi yung ating solar panel is connected to a mechanical component, which is the pump and the heater. So those are active solar energy systems. One of the active advantage is the level of control they offer. So yun nga, na-adjust mo yung needs depende sa weather condition. And since controllable yung ating different parameters, then madali nating mako-compute yung ating return on investment. Then, yun, syempre mas mahal to sa passive systems which are gonna be discussing next. Kasi, yun, gumagamit tayo ng mga wiring, ng pumps, na kailangan for regular maintenance. Kasi, if we talk about passive solar energy systems, this just basically rely on the architectural design to capture and use sunlight without the need for mechanical and electrical devices. Like for example, yun nga kung paano natin ipepwesto yung window natin. That is an example of passive solar energy systems. Kasi kung kuwari alam natin yung nasa south talaga yung direct sunlight and heat. So pwede nating ilagay doon ang ating bintana if in the case na doon tayo sa mga malalamig na lugar. So that basically is used for heating yung solar energy natin. So, gano'n din kapag naman alam mo ng mainit, hindi ka magde-design ka ng air conditioning and ventilation, hindi ka maglalagay ng bintana sa south part kung alam mong mainit do'n. Kasi 'pag do'n ka naglagay, then mas malaki magagastos mo for your air conditioning and ventilation system kasi mas malaking heat yung pumapasok sa loob ng isang building. So, gano'n. Kaya, ah, basically, yun lang yung sinasabi natin passive solar energy. This is based on the architectural design without using any mechanical devices. And yun nga, kung mapapansin nyo, dito sa passive solar energy system nga, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina yung research ng I think that is a student from Mapua. Kinontak ko din siya dati, tanda ko kasi nag-comment ako sa video niya sa YouTube. Though hindi siya nag-reply. Yun, parang gano'n yung design niya, that is a passive solar energy system. Kasi ang balak na yung kanyang ginawang substrate na glass na gawa sa rotten fruits ay i-install lang sa mga window, then it could generate electricity na. It could generate electricity na parang nasa-store lang sa isang battery. Then yun, that is a passive solar energy system kasi walang ibang mechanical system na ginamit to run it. So, yun. Siyempre ang challenging dito is that kailangan mo ng careful planning, kailangan naiintindihan mo a deep, thorough research para malaman mo kung kaya ba na mag-produce ng solar energy, kaya pang ma-utilize yung solar energy, ah, depending sa mga materials natin, yan sa orientation nga, and siyempre sa climate. Then, another example or another type is water heating solar energy. Ito naman, ganun din. Parang yung binigay ko example sa active solar energy systems. Ginagamit naman yung solar energy to heat water for residential and commercial applications. And basically, itong mga dinidiscuss natin, pare-pareho lang sila, naka-breakdown lang. Dito, water yung ginagamit na fluid, uh, para maka-produce ng electrical energy gaya na sa flat plate collectors natin, yung mga tubes sa loob doon, ang fluid doon is water and that will be heated and uh, yun yung mag-heat sa mga stored water. Same goes with our heaters. Yan, yung system natin doon, hinihit lang yung water. Yung malaking amount of water. So, hinihit lang yan. O yan, o like sa shower, sa mga heating system and industrial processes. And major advantage na is sustainability. Siyempre, lahat naman sustainability. Meron tayong eco-friendly way to access warm water while lowering electricity bills. Siyempre, 'di ba, yung ating mga electric kettles and siyempre yung gasol natin, that still costs more. But if we are just gonna be using solar energy to heat, so that would siyempre mas siguro mas mahal siya. Mas mahal siya, siyempre mahal yung equipment dito. But in the long run, mas makakatipid ka. And yun, this is cost effective and efficient in areas with consistent and strong sunlight. Then syempre, it still depends heavily on sunlight availability like any other else. Then, building integrated photovoltaics. Ito ay, dito naman ang sinasabi dito is yung mga solar panel natin, for example, yung mga solar cells natin ay integrated na sa building structure during construction. Example niyan ay, yun nga, yung mga rooftop natin, yung ibang rooftop is uh, built like a solar panel na, as well as yung glass nung ating mga windows ay nagwo-work na as solar panels din. Kasi parang may maliit lang na, yun nga sabi dito, maliit lang na semi-transparent thin film between those glasses para makapag-trap ng sunlight doon and produce energy. And it also contributes to building's overall aesthetics by blending seamlessly into its design. Most likely, uh, yung mga architecture students natin, they are proposing this sa kanilang undergrads. Marami nagpo-propose na ganito na yung design. I don't know kung nire-require sila na kailangan may how do you describe this? Merong touch na of renewable system sa kanilang mga design. Again, I don't know if it's just in our school or ano, but yun, kung mapapansin nyo yung kanilang mga dinidesign ay they are integrating this na. Siyempre, one major advantage of this compared to other solar energy system is space efficiency. Kasi siyempre, hindi ka na magko-cover up ng a lot of land area na pagkakabitan mo ng mga solar cells kasi nga in-install mo na siya in the same location as to where the windows, the rooftops of your building is currently located. So doon mo na lang din siya i-install. So it would save a lot of space. Then, however, yun nga, ang efficiency ng BIPVs can be compared lower to traditional rooftop solar panels kasi uh, yung kanilang placement and orientation are often dictated by architectural considerations. Kasi syempre, hindi katulad ng itong mga rooftop solar panels kasi uh, malimit, ito ay facing the sun palagi. Pero kapag itong mga though yung may ibang BIPV systems kasi na nasa rooftop din. Pero kasi yung pagka-material niya ay hindi same as how roof goes. Kasi 'di ba, ang roof mga yero ganyan, parang made of glass na yung roof mo. So ang tendency nun kapag gano'n, mainit yung nasa loob, mas mainit ang mas mainit yung nasa loob ng building kasi glass yung roof mo. So that's if you are gonna be designing such kind of things, parang mapapamahal ka. So hindi siya economical and hindi siya ergonomic na design kung ganun yung gagawin ng BIPV na rooftop mo. Kaya yung mga BIPVs are usually on the windows. Since window siya, yung placement niya and yung orientation, hindi siya directly being hit being hit by the sun or being heated, HEATED, being heated by the sun or being hit by the sun, HIT. So, yon. Kasi nga, hindi siya directly facing the sun. So, kaya mas mababa yung efficiency niya. And, syempre, maintenance, masyado siyang delicate. So, kailangan mo siyang linisin. And if na cover up siya with dirt and debris, maano yan, lower ang efficiency. And last is hybrid solar energy. Hybrid solar energy naman, gaya ng sabi ko, this has been a focus of research nowadays kasi ah kino-combine siya with other renewable energy sources like wind systems or tidal systems para mas consistent and reliable ang ating electricity. Example dito is a hybrid solar farm in Cebu na nagpa-power ng longest bridge natin showcasing the technology's potential for large-scale applications. Yung ganitong system kasi, itong hybrid solar energy ay, how do you call this? Itong mga hybrid solar energy kasi natin is more expensive. More expensive siya. Kasi, syempre, dito sa example na binigay sa book at sa module kasi, kung i-consider natin is like a combination of renewable energy, uh, like solar and wind, mas mahal siya compared to the thermal power plant. Kasi, syempre, mas maliit yung na-harvest doon. Imagine mo, malaki yung nakukuha mo sa thermal, mas consistent. So, hindi masyado nagre-rely dito. Kaya yung mga hybrid solar energy systems, yung mga hybrid solar energy systems natin na ginagawa currently is a combination of a thermal power plant and a solar power plant, mga gano'n. Para at least hindi lugi yung company, hindi lugi yung company. Pero ngayon nga, maraming researches na ginagawa kung saan mas madaling or mas malaki yung makukuha nating energy or mayu-utilize from the sun and from the wind or from the waves, gano'n. That's a subject of research na. And sa inyong power plant design, siyempre, title nun, power plant design with renewable energy, you're just gonna be designing a hybrid power plant, which means depende kung anong mapapasign sa inyo, may it be thermal or geothermal. And ano yung isa? Kalimutan ko. Thermal, geothermal, at wait lang, coal-fired, geothermal, and nakalimutan ko yung isa. Sa tatlo yung pinaka-main, na power plant, then you have to combine it with a renewable energy system. Kaya power plant design with renewable energy. So ganon, and ganon yung gagawin niyo doon sa power plant, hybrid. So syempre it's still advantage niya is though hindi talaga 'to, I do not consider this as an advantage, yung reliability na sinasabing steady energy supply by balancing the strengths of multiple renewable energies. Kasi siyempre, renewable energies 'yan, masyado siyang inconsistent depending on what specific renewable source you are gonna be using. So, ano 'yan, hindi ko siya masasabing reliable kasi nga magfa-fluctuate 'yan depending on the time, depending on the resources. And as well, yung challenges niya pa is yung siyempre yung design, installation, and maintenance. Kasi yun, kasi nga inconsistent or yung resources natin is renewable, kailangan natin maintindihan ng ayos kung paano siya i-operate, i-maintain. So, hindi naman yan pwedeng basta lang ibigay sa isang mechanical engineer na walang specialization into such. Kailangan doon sa talagang specialized doon kasi inaral dapat nila. Pero still, yung malaki din naman yung benefit niya in terms of environment kasi hindi naman natin mababayaran yon when we have good environment na clean environment. That's already a plus for sustainability. And last part ng lesson natin is the limitations of solar energy. One of its primary challenges is low flux density. Kasi solar energy has a relatively low density, meaning that large surface areas are required to collect a significant amount of energy for substantial use. Diyan pumapasok nga yung ating solar irradiance, 'di ba? Kasi ah, kung ito yung example instance, a 10 square meter of surface area could theoretically provide around 2 kilowatts of energy on a cloudless day. then ibig sabihin kung ang demand ng isang nasusuplayan mo is more than 2 kilowatts, imagine like for example, ah, buong Batangas, ilan bang buong Batangas? Around 40,000 ata, not so sure. Sige, for example, 40,000 square meter yung providean mo na energy and you are just having 2 kilowatts per 10 square meter. Yun lang yung napoproduce mo. So, ibig sabihin, ganon kalaki ang i-installan mo, ganon kalaking area ang i-installan mo ng solar cells para ma-produce yung certain amount. Like for example, kailangan natin ng ah, 100 megawatts. So, imagine mo, ito is 100,000 kilowatts. So, 100,000 kilowatts, i-divide natin ng 2. So, that's 50,000. 50,000, ah, 50,000 kilowatts yung kailangan natin per square meter. So, yan, ganyan. Tapos, i-divide mo to ng 10. So, that's 500, 5,000 square meter. Ganyan kalaki, 5,000 square meter ang kailangan mong area na pagkakabitan mo ng solar panel. So, kaya, ah, yun, kaya kailangan, sobrang liit lang nung flux density niya kasi it really requires a lot of area or a, a, a large area para makapag-suffice ng ganun kalaki. It really depends on gaano kalaki yung natatamaan ng solar radiation na area para makaproduce ng ganun kalaking energy. Basically, it's just like that. And uh, another major issue is the variability in solar irradiance, which consists of both direct and diffuse radiation. The amount of energy, direct energy reaching the Earth is influenced by weather conditions, such as cloud cover and the sun's position in the sky. Clouds scatter a portion of the solar radiation, reducing the amount of energy that reaches the ground. So, the thick clouds can reflect more energy back into space, further reducing the efficiency of solar energy collection. In regions with high cloud cover, the diffuse irradiance can reach up to 400 watts per square meter, which can significantly impact the efficiency of solar energy systems. Magigets nyo yan pag nag-calculate tayo. Kasi syempre, bababa yung solar irradiance natin kapag ah, kapag may hindrance. Ano yung mga hindrance na yan? Yun nga, yung example dito is cloud. Siyempre, kapag may araw, tas may cloud dito, siyempre maihinder niya yung direct radiation. Like for example, nandito yung solar panel natin. Yung direct radiation niya is kapag tumama dito sa solar panel natin yung araw, that is uh, direct radiation. However, kung meron diyang mga may ulap dito, tas kunwari may puno pa dito, may puno dito, yan, may puno diyan, magsa-scatter yung energy like tatama siya dito, then kokonti na yung pupunta sa kanya dito sa baba, kokonti na, tas siyempre may puno pa, so kakaunti na ah, yung irradiance na makukuha doon sa area na yon. Kasi siyempre there are hindrances na nadi-diffuse yung radiation. That's basically the difference between direct radiation and diffuse radiation. Again, direct, walang hindrances yan. Rekta yang pupunta sa mga ano mo, sa mga system mo, sa mga solar energy systems mo. Ah, yung mga direct na yun, syempre yun nga yung nabanggit natin kanina, yung mga hindi cloudy like the Sahara Desert, sa Nevada, yun, they are utilizing that direct radiation. Whereas kapag sa Pilipinas, kapag tag-ulan, syempre, diffused yan. Then, meron kang mga bundok, puno. So, liliit talaga, bababa. And kasi, one of that thing as well is the temperature. Yung temperature ng lugar kasi that would also affect the efficiency of our solar panels. So, we will, you can see, you will see this kind of effects kapag nag-calculate tayo nitong solar energy sa lesson 3. Yun. And also, the geographic distribution of solar energy also plays a role in its limitations. So while regions near the equator, particularly in continental desert areas around latitudes of 25 degrees and 25 degrees south, this receive the most solar radiation. And yun, since ano nga, tilted siya, doon lang nakafocus yung araw natin, mas malaki yung nakukuha nating solar radiation doon. But pag pumunta na sa may Antarctic at sa Arctic, wala na masyadong araw doon. Kakunti na yung solar radiation. And yun, additionally, solar energy intermittent nature presents a challenge for its large scale deployment. Solar power generation follows a daily cycle, and its availability is affected by the Earth's rotation and the seasonal tilt of the planet's axis. Periods of bad weather or the night cycle further disrupt energy generation. This intermittency introduces the need for energy storage systems or supplementary power sources to ensure a consistent energy supply when sunlight is unavailable. These limitations highlight the need for continued advancements in solar technology to overcome challenges related to efficiency, transmission, and storage. So, yun, since yun nga, hindi naman palaging maaraw, hindi naman palaging I mean, minsan sobrang kapal ng clouds natin, maulan, and minsan sa sobrang polluted, that also affects the na bumababa yung efficiency, natatakpan, nagkakameron ng shading, like for example, may puno, syempre may shade yung puno, so hindi direktang naaarawan ang mga solar panels natin, bumababa yung efficiency. And kapag gano'n yung nangyayari, kakaunti yung naka-harvest natin. So, ibig sabihin, hindi siya magiging sapat. The reason why it needs, solar energy systems needs the integration of using energy storage systems. Kasi, para ma-utilize natin ng ayos yung solar energy. Like, kung alam natin na sa sunod na 3 buwan, malakas yung ating solar radiation, then we can just continue to process energy, then store it para pag dumating yung time na wala ng, or I mean mababa na yung source ng solar radiation, we can use the stored energy. So yun. So that is also a challenge, a limitation of solar energy. We cannot use consistently the solar energy systems kung wala tayong storage. Kasi yun nga, yung hindi laging present na ganun kalakas ang solar radiation. And I think that's it. That's the end of lesson 1. And here is the knowledge check ng module that's over 15. Yun. And that's the end of lesson 1.
Yo, guys. Sinong may tanong? Walang nagtanong. Wala rin nakinig. Kung wala lang nakalagay nakaharap sa camera. Diga. Parang. Okay, guys. Next week again, guys. Discussion tayo next week ng face-to-face ng calculation. And deadline na agad nung case study. Kasi again, guys, parang marami kayong time. Marami kayong vacant time sa mga susunod na linggo. Kasi sa malamang, magsasabay-sabay yan. Magsasabay-sabay na ulit yan. Yun. Again, sino may tanong, may questions, may concerns, may clarifications? Wala? Wala nang may tanong? Sige, again yung mga retake sa elective 2 na estudyante ko last year, stay muna dito. Then pwede na mag-leave yung iba. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir. Thank you po.